I say depression. You think Eeyore, rain pour, no pride, suicide, dark skies, loud cries, tears, hurt, pain, a voice in your brain telling you to quit, driving you insane, crying because your relationship has ended and your heart can't be mended. You think grief to the extreme, causing you to scream. You think heartache, heartbreak, the inability to get out of bed because you perceive life as worthless, thinking you'd be better off dead. Do you hear what's wrong with what I've just said? The word depression has two meanings, if you will. It describes a boy who's sad because it rained on his birthday, and a girl who's actually depressed. She's mentally ill. Major depressive disorder. The problem then is that people who suffer from major depressive disorder are told by others to stop being glum, to stop grieving, to stop acting out of order. They're marked with unessential stigmata because others just think they're unnecessarily sad. Nothing in their life is necessarily bad. But the people thinking and judging this way, they don't get MDD. They don't understand that major depressive disorder is a feeling of dismay, not just when life is terrible, but when life is okay. They put the words grief, depression, and sorrow in three-part harmony. Those words aren't always congruent. When you're sad or grieving, it doesn't necessarily mean you've got MDD. The point of my speaking these words is to reduce your stigma. Let it fly off with the birds, because it's not a person's inability to speak or use a phone that's preventing them from seeking help, from sharing their story, from leaving their home. It's the shame and self-loathing they feel when you tell them to get over it. Be happy. Learn to deal. The power that your words, your stigmas have is immense. It destroys any chance of a sufferer to heal. Now that is intense. Don't believe me? Seriously? Fine, I'll tell you a story. Andrew Solomon's a man, a sufferer of MDD. He's not afraid of what you and I think and shares his story. Millions of people listen to him speak, are encouraged and inspired, no longer think they're a freak. At a conference one time, he was approached by a lady. No, not for his autograph, for something a little more shady. She shared her struggles with depression, asking for his advice. Here's the shady bit. When confronting him, a complete stranger, she didn't think twice, because until then, she kept her struggles to herself. Her husband didn't even know. He isn't one to understand, she reasoned. Do you have any advice? But please, don't tell my husband. Later that week, Andrew Solomon was approached by a man who shared his struggles with depression, struggles that his wife didn't know about. All he wanted was advice. She isn't one to understand, he reasoned, so please don't tell my wife. These two people are married, husband and wife, said their vows for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, but I guess all that counted was the part about wealth, because when both were suffering from depression, neither wanted to share their pain, thought the other wouldn't listen. Both were taking the same medication, hidden from the other. Two hiding spots in the same room, just a different location. One marriage, one secret, split in two, hidden within the same room. This is what stigma does. Mutual secrecy. Because the stigma surrounding MDD causes people to hide, not seeking help for shame that you and I would see. Because this world, for some stupid reason, accepts people when their bodies are broken and busted and bruised, but not when they're being verbally abused by their own conscience. Because that's what depression is. It's your brain torturing you with thoughts of death, suicide, worthlessness, and shame. Depression is said to be a chemical imbalance in the brain, but in actual fact, it's a whole lot more complicated than that. There are millions, even billions of chemical reactions that are responsible for your moods, perceptions, experiences, attractions. Depression is also linked to your nerve cell connections, your nerve cell growth, and the functioning of your nerve circuit sections. And all this biology helps regulate your mood, and the drugs that they give you so your depression will improve are to help the neurotransmitters and nerve cell connections to send and receive messages to make the right corrections. See, depression's a whole lot more biological and complicated than you and I can comprehend. But it's not about knowing every biological fact. It's about understanding someone with MDD, knowing how to react, to not torture them with stigma, but to help them mend. Let me take a moment to talk to you, the one hiding under the covers, the one suffering from depression, the one suffering alone. Understand this. Depression can be overthrown because depression isn't your weakness, it's a sickness, and it's not your identity, it's an issue that needs to be dealt with. You can't just shove it into a corner and pretend it's not there. That's wishful thinking. And wishful thinking isn't a game plan, it's stagnation. It's procrastination. So I urge you, go seek help. Call Beyond Blue. Go see a psychologist. You've got nothing to lose. But it's going to be hard. Depression's no chicken pox. You can't just beat it once and poof, it's gone, locked away in a box. It takes time. It takes resilience. Resilience. Understanding you've got depression and tolerating it. Not ignoring it. Not seeking help and thinking it's an automatic fix. But persevering, running the long race, pursuing hope until it sticks. And in the meantime, valuing your depression, because depression builds resilience. And remember, this race against depression is a marathon, not a sprint. And the key to a marathon is to be resilient. If you're suffering from depression, understand this. You are not alone. You're part of 1/7 of Australians suffering, and that is just the statistics known. That means 3 million people who know what you feel, who suffer what you suffer. That doesn't mean 3 million people refusing to live their lives, never experiencing glee. They suffer, they seek help, they endure, they persevere, they are resilient, they live their lives and they make a difference. Abraham Lincoln, one of the most respected US presidents, made such a difference that he's known by you and I, Australian residents. Abe battled from depression his whole life, having periods where he was in so much grief, in so much strife that his friends had him on suicide watch. Abe described himself as the most miserable man living, suffering to the brink of hysteria. Yet he managed to be the President of America. Want another example? J.K. Rowling, billionaire, author, and sufferer of MDD. She suffered from suicidal thoughts and underwent cognitive behavioral therapy. And while doing so, wrote one of the best-selling series, without question. She turned her real-life struggles into works of fiction, shaping Dementors from depression. She used depression to her advantage. It didn't constrain her in chains. It gave her wings. So don't let depression be your thing and yours alone. Let us help. Go seek help. Persevere. Make a difference. Live your life and know that you are not alone. So don't despair. Whether you beat depression or not, you've still got wings. They just need some repair because the stigma you've been put through has caused them to rip, fail, and tear. Do you who are not suffering now understand that your stigma and prejudice is an issue? That you need to stop with the judgment and preconceived ideas, but rather educate yourself and pursue understanding? Educate yourself, because what I've said here isn't the whole answer. This isn't even the 3-course meal, this is just the starter. And pursue understanding, because understanding brings acceptance, and acceptance brings love. I say depression. Now what do you think? Do you still think Eeyore, rainpour, heartache, heartbreak? Do you still think that MDD sufferers are stupid because their life isn't so bad and yet they are sad? Or do you get that major depressive disorder is a feeling of dismay, not just when life is terrible, but when life is okay? Do you see 3 million people who you can beat down and stigmatize? Or do you see 3 million people who you can build up to stop the stigma and stop the lies? Because our friends suffering need to understand that they are not alone, that we are here to help. Will you make yourself known? Will you help them break free from the chains of stigma and silence, to go and get the help that they need to find their resilience? Because depression is a family secret that we all share. So stop with the stigma and start to care. Thank you.